There you go, that was a classic video from Warlock, and we will be talking to the lovely Doro a little bit later on as the Headbangers Ball continues to go Deutsch. But right now I'm still with Rudy and Klaus from Scorpions, and we are facing the heat. Their new album out tomorrow.
We give Vanessa her first lesson in German. Ne? Vanessa? Rest der Sendung mal in Deutsch, alles klar?
Ja, genau.
Yeah. We're in the Gibson showroom, I should point out actually, here in Hamburg, the city where Scorpions recorded their very first album, as we said earlier. And right now I'd like to talk a little bit about your new bass player, Ralf Reichmann, because I believe that actually finding him was not too difficult.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, actually, Herman found him because the drummer from Bonfire called Herman and said, I heard that you guys are looking for a new bass player. And here is an address and a telephone number from Ralf Reichmann. And Herman, he called Ralf and asked Ralf, what do you think about come over here to Monaco, because I'm working on a solo project for my friend's new album, a guitar player from England, and maybe can play a little bass on it. And Herman was so excited when you heard Ralf that immediately called us and said, hey guys, I have my right foot now, let's go. And we said, okay, come over here. We jammed a little bit in my studio, we played with him, and it was great, you know. And the most important point with Ralf was, when he came into the studio, it felt like natural, you know, and that's the important point, that the chemistry was there.
It was not even a real audition, you know. It was just, hey, let's check out this guy,
right.
Let's play a few songs, you know, let's see, because we were not even ready, you know, to audition anybody, you know. And so I think that saved us a lot of time and energy, you know. Can you imagine to audition 100 bass players? Oh my God.
How do you think his style differs to Francis's?
That is very hard to say. I mean, we don't want to compare him to Francis, you know, because it's completely a different musician. He is a person, he had classical training, he can play a standard bass, and it's one thing, you know, when he's playing with us, it's grooving, and that's important, you know. And that's
actually the first gig we played like a couple of days ago in Hanover, hometown. So we had like a press party, you know, for the release of Face the Heat, and so we jammed a few songs acoustically, and Ralf was playing like a big contrabass, you know, a big stand-up bass, you know, and he went, you know, well guys, you know, I thought the first gigs we're doing, you know, it's cool on stage, and now here I am, you know, with the big contrabass, you know. So
Sounds great.
Yeah, but it's been a lot of fun.
Great. I mean, he is actually a very talented musician, as you said, because I believe he plays drums, he can also do programming and stuff like that. What point did he come in on the album? Was he involved in the demos?
He wasn't, because our pre-production, our songs, it was ready. And I mean, for a new bass player who comes into the band, we have to give him more time, you know. And we had already a picture how this album has to be, and that's important. Now we do the next world tour with him, and I think then the time is right for him to go more involved. Right, you know, he has to find first to, you know, Joe Walsh, when he came into the Eagles, he said, for me, was hard to. Even when I know them for a long time already, for me it was 9 months. I had to play with them to get into the groove, you know, and I mean, that's the first important point. We want Ralf be concentrated in, and not too much, you know. And if you go to a new person and try to get too much out of him, you know, then it's maybe not good.
Something that must grow naturally, I think, you know. So we do some time. We're looking forward to the Face the Heat work tour, and, you know, spend a lot of time together in the next couple of months.
Okay, well, we've got loads more time to talk to Scorpions, but right now we also, actually I should point out, we are going to meet Ralf a little bit later on. Right now, though, we're going into another top German band. We're going to see the latest video from Gamma Ray, and this is the song Gamma Ray. We are celebrating the release of the Scorpions' new album, Face the Heat, which hits the streets tomorrow. And Rudy and Klaus are still with me. We're going to talk a little bit more. And guys, we know that writing and recording an album is a very creative challenge, but I also think that in the case of Face the Heat, it was an emotional challenge as well. Did it help you to realize the inner strength of the band?
You know, I think it's a good thing when you come off a very successful album, you know. Normally you go back, you know, take it easy, have a break, relax, and say, hey, life's a beach. Now we write a new album, you know. But we were in a situation, we were facing really serious problems. And this is, after all, looking back, you know, was a pretty bad thing for us, going through all this shit. But looking back, it was at the same time we were in a position again we had to fight, you know, and that's a good thing. All through our career and all those years, you know, we always had some points in our career troubles, you know, like when I think back like 10 years ago when I lost my voice during the blackout days, you know, it's always something like, hey, this is a challenge, and if we can manage to get it over with and go through this, then in the end we come out stronger than ever before, you know. And that was the same thing last year. We had the feeling at some point we had to draw a line and say, okay, that's what it is. Life goes on, you know, and going back into the studio, it was such a relief, you know. And you're right, I mean, there were so many emotions.
I was going to say actually that the album, it has some very serious songs, but it also has some more humorous and fun side of things as well. So was it important to balance those and have the contrast?
That's always important. I mean, you want to have a picture with a lot of colors, but not like very colorful, very bright. It's important that the colors fit together, that you have a picture. That's the reason why I said before, we have 10 songs, Face the Heat. That's a picture, that's a painting. The rest, it's a little extra, you know. And for us, it was a painful time, but as a musician, the only way to fight is to give everything what you have as a musician. And that was that's for us was a very important point, and that shows how strong the family
like a new challenge. And Crazy World is our most successful album so far, with almost 7 million albums sold worldwide. And but we never saw it like this is the peak of our career. We rather saw it like this is like a beginning, you know, a beginning on a new level. So every album is different, and every album is like really like a new challenge, you know. And the success of Yesterday, I mean, it means something, but not that much, you know, because there's always an empty piece of paper for lyrics, and there's always an empty tape to fill with music, you know. And it's always a challenge. And of course, you want to top the success of Yesterday, but we never tried to write Wind of Change Part 2, because that would be just stupid, you know. We tried, like we always did, to write music from the heart, the way we feel, and it's a pretty tough time out there. That's why this album came out much harder. And of course, we wanted to go back to the roots, like the way we played, like in the
Blackout
old days. Blackout. You know, not to say this is old-fashioned. I think when kids out there listen to Face the Heat, that really will prove that this band is there to stay for a while. And this album sounds very much like the 90s.
Definitely. Well, I'll definitely agree with that. Okay, well, we're going into our first short break now. On the Headbangers Ball goes Deutsch. And what's happening after this next break? What's happening after our break?
Well, we take you out for a trip through Hamburg, you know. We show you around. We show you some exciting places.
Hi there and welcome back to the Headbangers Ball goes Deutsch, and as you can see we're en route to the new club that's opening up tonight with the Scorpions, but where are we now, Klaus?
Well, we're actually in Hamburg around the Reeperbahn, you know, and this is like the Herbertstraße, the famous one. And well, just taking a walk on the wild side.
Yeah, we know what goes on here, don't we? Is this one of your regular? Woo!
Hi.
Oh, hello, girls.
Everybody's
Anyway, this kind of seems like a good time to ask you. In the past, your lyrics have been, and also your album covers have been a little bit provocative, and you seem to have moved away from that a little bit.
That's right. That's why we came back tonight here, to get some inspiration for the next one. You know?
That's good.
The ideas from the old covers came from here. You know?
That's right.
The one song on the album actually that comes to mind, it's not a ballad, Woman.
It's a psychedelic trip.
Yes, that is a little bit of a different perspective for Scorpions, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, on this album we're playing around. I think we have some very different colors on Face the Heat, and Woman is one of the most strongest songs on the album, I think. It's my favorite track. And it's very different, you know, it builds up, you know, it starts, you know, woman, you can change my world, and then a few lines later you realize this guy's a maniac, you know, he's obsessed by this girl, you know, and so he wants to get rid of this obsession, you know, talking obsession, this is the right place here, right?
Yes.
You know,
I'm just looking straight ahead, I'm not looking either side.
But the song leaves it open to your imagination to find out what this is all about.
Okay, well, we'll talk to Scorpions a lot more, but we got to get out of here right now, because actually
Vanessa don't feel so,
women
so
aren't really
safe
allowed to
here.
be in here, so we're going to get out of here. We'll see some more German music now, and we'll see you a little bit later on with more
Take you to
from
more
Scorpions.
exciting places here in Hamburg with the Scorpions. Let's
Yay.
face the heat, all right?
Yeah!
We're meant to be talking about the new album, Face the Heat, right? And Wind of Change, the song from Crazy World that you had such a big hit with, turned out to be somewhat prophetic with the Berlin Wall coming down shortly afterwards and so on. I was wondering, do you think that the fact that you've personally witnessed so many different changes in the world that you're ideally kind of placed to document them in your lyrics?
Well, I mean, music really should reflect time, you know, and really should reflect what's going on out in the world. And with Wind of Change, you know, that worked perfectly. Because we went to Russia in '88 and played in Leningrad, and we're part of the Moscow Music Peace Festival in '89. So, you know, to be that close to history is really like magic, you know. And I think when we met Mikhail Gorbachev at the Kremlin, you know, just like 10 days before he resigned from power, there was a very special moment, you know, and I think you never can get any closer, you know, to history and what was going on. I think with Face the Heat, we tried really to reflect the times as well, you know, but it's a different time and times are much harder, you know. When I wrote Wind of Change, there was so much hope, you know, in the world. The East-West conflict broke down, you know, and there was really like, hey, finally we have a better world, we have peace, you know. But since then, so many things changed, and it became worse, you know. But I think there's a song on the new album called Under the Same Sun. We never should give up hoping, you know. And I think Under the Same Sun carries that hope.
Definitely. I mean, like we were saying, the Scorpions are best known for the song Wind of Change. Do you find it at all frustrating that the majority of people always think of the Scorpions and that one song, and they don't get the bigger picture of the kind of music that you do?
I mean, Wind of Change is the real worldwide hit we had, the first one actually, and it's a ballad, but the Scorpions always have done ballads on every album since the very first one, so for us nothing really has changed. We didn't plan to have a hit. It's nice to have one for a change, but it's due to like it's so radio accessible. It's what obviously a lot of people want to hear, and therefore the radio plays it more than the harder rock songs, which we have on Crazy World as well, and all the other albums, and which we think are in general more representative for the band than just the ballads. Or let's put it this way, both types of songs are represented for the band. It can never be just one song like Wind of Change or any other one. And you know, we're all like, you know, very happy that we had a song like this, but you know, we don't want to rely on a song or the style like this. We want to go on and like, you know, somehow go to new levels, new grounds, and therefore we see, you know, what's happening with Face the Heat, because we are all very happy about how it turned out.
But in America, United States, we're mostly famous for our more harder stuff. Let's say Rock Like a Hurricane, Big City Nights. And that's the reason. The reason is for that in America the radio is much more rock orientated. We have in each city around 3 big stations, which playing always rock songs like from AC/DC, Van Halen, Scorpions, and stuff like this. And the situation in Europe is because the people want to play Scorpions. The new album comes out, they're going through the album, say, oh, that's a great number for our radio. They're picking the slow numbers, and then you have success with the slow numbers. But anyway, as long we don't have to bring something to the people which we don't like, we play it only because we think it's a hit. As long we play something which we like, even as a slow number or as a rock number, that's fine for us.
We were very selfish this time. We made ourselves really happy because we wanted to go back to the roots, you know, and be a kick-ass rock and roll band. That's what we really are. That's our soul, our heart, and so go and check that album out. Be back.
Okay, well, we've got some more German heavy rock on the way, and coming up next we've got a band that I really, really rate, and actually they share the same management as you as well. We're going to see Axis, and this is their song, Stay, Don't Leave Me, and stay with us as the Headbangers Ball continues after these videos.
All right.
Yes, you know by now, the Headbangers Ball is going Deutsch. We are profiling the German hard rock and heavy metal music scene. I hope you're enjoying our coverage so far. Right now, we're out on the street outside the MC Club here in Hamburg, and I'd like to introduce you to somebody very special. This is Ralf Reikemann, the new bassist with Scorpions. So how are you doing, Ralf?
Hello, I'm doing great actually. You know,
It's good
being
fun,
here
isn't
in
it?
my hometown, yeah, it's fun.
Now, before joining the Scorpions, what was your previous experience?
Well, first of all, I used to live here in Hamburg, you know, lots of years ago. Then I moved away from Hamburg to Los Angeles, where I lived for like, yeah, where I was living for like 3.5 years. And that's where the band found me. Now I'm back in Hamburg, pretty much.
Now, obviously, to follow in Francis's footsteps must have been a very big challenge for you. How have you kind of approached that?
Well, you know, I mean, personally, for example, I've never really met him. I met him once in Los Angeles, very briefly, in a club called Le Dome. And but besides that, for me, it actually doesn't really feel like stepping in someone's footsteps, and it feels more like, you know, coming, joining a family, because, you know, like we all know, Scorpions has been like a big family, you know, for a long time. And that's how they took me too, you know. It was from the first moment, it was a great feeling, it was a great vibe, the chemistry was right. So for me, it's not only like working together with great musicians, it's like joining a new family, you know. We're already like real close friends, and it's a great feeling, you know.
I mean, apart from that, what do you think is going to be the best thing about being in Scorpions? Is it going to be playing live all over the world, or what?
Well, you know, pretty much everything. First of all, you know, I don't have to worry about being able to buy some bread tomorrow no more, which is a great feeling, you know, because as you know, for lots of musicians, it's not that easy, you know, these days no more. And second of all, it gives me a great chance, you know, to build up a great career. And, you know, third of all, which I said already, you know, the best feeling that can happen to a musician is not only success to join like a family, because, you know, the biggest bands in the history, like Beatles, Rolling Stones, they've all been like families, you know. And that was always my biggest dream, to like not only make music and become famous and make money, to like, you know, have friends, you know, that you're on the road with. And I love being on the road. I love the stage more than everything else.
Well, it looks like your dream has come true.
Well, yeah, certainly it did.
Best of luck to you, Ralf, then, and you're going to start the tour as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But right now we are going into another commercial break, and then after that we've got a little bit of a change of location, because I'm going to go over to Popcom, Germany's biggest music fair, in Cologne, and I'm going to be meeting up with Doro, Skew Siskin and Morgoth for a little chat with them. But then we will be back with the Scorpions later on, so stay tuned as the Headbangers Ball Goes Deutsch continues. Hi there and welcome back to the Headbangers Ball Goes Deutsch, and we're back with the Scorpions right now. We're backstage at the opening night of the MC Club, where Scorpions have just played a bit of an impromptu gig here. So that was kind of really going back to the old days there, just getting up and jamming really, wasn't it?
I mean, it was fun, you know. Go in the club, nobody knows anything what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We go on stage, play rock and roll. Play rock and roll, have fun, you know, go back to the basic. I mean, it's a corny word, but I know. Yes, right. But it's somehow fun. It's always important for us, even when we play in big halls, big arenas, we always have fun in a small club. And this was today, again, a little try to have fun again, you know.
Indeed. And that was Ralph's first ever electric gig with the Scorpions. That's right.
Well, that's true. Yeah, and this last one, that's right.
So there we are. We were right here when Ralph played for the first time.
That was the audition tonight, you know.
Well done, Ralph. You were great. Now, let's talk a little bit about...
Electrolyzed.
He's electrolyzed. So what about the rock scene in Germany? It's very difficult for German bands to get recognition outside of this country. Have you got kind of any advice to up-and-coming bands?
Get a passport so you can cross the border.
Thank you, Matthias.
I think in the 70s, you know, for a German band like the Scorpions, you know, all the doors into the world of rock and roll were pretty much closed. You know, it was like when we were knocking those doors, the people said, "Well, the Scorpions." Who? You know, no, we don't need the Scorpions. And we said, "Fuck you," you know. So we opened those doors, I think, by playing around all the world, wherever there was electricity. We just plugged in, just like tonight. And I think we opened many doors. In a way, I guess we were like pioneers, you know, playing like almost, well, I guess, everywhere. And I think these days, all those doors are wide open, you know. And we would love to see more German bands, you know, to follow the Scorpions out in on an international kind of thing, you know, and those doors are open. And I think there are too many bands right now, they celebrate success too early, you know. They give up too early. There were great bands, and there are great bands out there, you know, and we hope, you know, they have the strength, you know, because what the Scorpions did in all those years, it's a long road, you know. For this kind of success, it takes a while. It's not 2 years. And, you know, to have some success here in Germany, it's great, you know, to have a party every night, it's fine. But there's so much more, you know, and we would like to see a lot more bands to go through those doors, you know, and time is right. These days, nobody really cares where a band comes from, you know, as long as the music is right, you know, and that's the most important thing, so go for it.
Well, there are plenty of good up-and-coming bands to do
There are
that.
enough good musicians in Germany. They only have to get the right advice to make it. And that's a big problem here because management was not allowed for a long time in Germany. Now it is, but there are not so many good managers around, and that's a big problem. You have to learn the business from a different angle. In America and England, they have good people which know the business much better than the people in Germany. It's crazy. In Germany, it's the second biggest selling record market, but there are not so many people coming out on the national level, and I think maybe somehow it's going better. I mean, we have the few bands like Siskins, right? Maybe they need more their own identity, but they're on a good way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to go actually into a band now that I'm sure you guys are very familiar with.
Accept was that was a good example. Accept they started very, very good on a very good basic, and then they tried to be too commercial. They tried to get a new singer which can make it more on the poppy side. That was a mistake, you know, because Udo is a great singer for Accept, and they have to work very hard to come back on the level where they're stopped, you know. Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, you may remember that a little earlier this year we caught up with Accept at the opening night of their European tour right here in Hamburg at the Grosse Freiheit venue, and of course it was the first night they got back together with Udo and formed the old Accept lineup, and we were down there with the guys and we asked them to choose their top 5 Accept songs of all time. It was very difficult for them. There was so much to choose from, but this is what they came up with.
Heidi, Heido, Heida, Heidi, Heido.
There you go, that was Accept's top 5 songs of all time chosen by the guys just for you. Hope you enjoyed seeing them live there in Hamburg on the opening night of their European tour a little earlier this year. And we're still backstage with Scorpions at the MC Club in Hamburg, and we've got a little competition actually for you to celebrate MTV Goes Deutsch, and also of course the release of Scorpions' new album Face the Heat. It's out tomorrow, and we have got a Gibson, what's the Flying
V, right?
Flying V guitar.
Right, and you can see this guitar, it's working.
Rock you like a hurricane!
Yay! So now we have a question. Tell us the first album Scorpions ever recorded, the name of the first album, and maybe if you are very good, tell us which city this album was recorded. Okay.
Now, we've hinted at that a little bit earlier in the show, so if you're watching, you should know. So tell us the name of the first ever Scorpions album and put your answer on a postcard along with your name, age, address and telephone number and send it to Scorpions Competition, MTV's Headbangers Ball, PO Box 1384, London NW1 8UH. And watch out.
Of this guitar. Here. Come on. Camera. Yeah.
Signed by the band.
That's right. Okay.
There you go. So get your entries in for that. We're going to have another short break on this special edition of Headbangers Ball Goes Deutsch. And we'll be back in just a moment with more from the Scorpions. And we're going to talk about their upcoming European tour. So stay with us. We'll see you later. Hi there and welcome back to the very final part of Headbangers Ball. We're reaching the end of our coverage of Headbangers Ball Goes Deutsch, and of course we're still with Scorpions, and we have got to talk about the most important thing happening for you guys in the next few weeks, and that is your first European tour since 1991. I think that's right, isn't it? So tell us a little bit about the tour, the staging and the production. And
Production's big, lights are big, not bigger than last time. We don't want to overdo it. We want to focus more on the band's music, personality. So we will have a lot of stuff there.
A little bit more back to basics, though, isn't it?
It's hard. We are known for having these huge productions, so we cannot go from extremely large to now tiny. So we have to go step by step if we wanted to, but we will try to scale it down a little bit, and not too much though.
Now you've got somebody a bit special coming out on the road with you in Europe. So tell us who it is.
Well, we have the bass player from Guns N' Roses with us.
Brilliant, Duff McKagan.
Yes, and well, we're really looking forward to this tour. We start in a couple of weeks. It's not. I think we start on the 14th in Athens, but before we go to Greece, we go to Los Angeles, California to play at the Concrete Convention.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Yeah, and then from there, we go, start in Greece, we go to Istanbul for the very first time, we go to Romania, we go to Budapest, we go to Warsaw, all the Eastern Bloc countries, and then we come here back to Hamburg, 1st of October, and then we go all over Germany, all over Europe, and we come hopefully to England pretty soon as well, over New Year's Eve, and we have a very special gig in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and
because you've got such a long tour.
This is only the beginning.
Okay, well, I think the best thing actually is if we see the tour dates.
Going crazy. We see you out on the road.
Those are the dates where you can catch Scorpions on tour right across Europe. And as the guys themselves said in the little segment there that was extremely chaotic, they are going to be supported by Guns N' Roses bassist Duff McKagan, who is going to be playing some shows in support of his debut solo album Believe in Me, which is released tomorrow, just the same as the Scorpions' new album Face the Heat, as we've been telling you. And we're just about wrapping up this edition of the Headbangers Ball. We have been going following Deutsch, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing the Scorpions, all the other bands, and of course the videos from Germany's top bands, and I think you've seen a lot of good talent there. I certainly have. Anyway, I've just got to say a very, very big thank you to the Scorpions for having us here in Hamburg, also to their management, Werner and Uwe, who've made us very welcome. We've really appreciated it. We've had a good time, and I'm just going to quickly tell you what's happening in next week's show. We have interviews with Sick of It All, Sepultura and Mr. Big. So make sure you tune in there. I'll be back in the studio. But for now, I'm signing off from Hamburg. See you next week.